this story really tripped me out. So I focused a lot on January 6th. I think January 6th is not something to joke about and just be like, whatever, man. It was like, they didn't really do anything or they didn't really get anything. Man, that was a full on, it was an attempt at insurrection. It was an attempted. I mean, 7 million more Americans voted for sleepy Joe Biden than they did psycho Donald Trump, right? And Donald Trump completely lied about voter fraud and what happened. But a massive mob of his supporters, after he gave a speech and riled them up, ran into the Capitol, sacked the whole thing as they were approving the vote for the Electoral College vote, which, we should abolish the Electoral College. All that stuff is true. But they literally, I mean, you couldn't make it more clear that this was, nothing about Trump was ever subtle. And even his mob of insurrectionists were not subtle. They ran in with flags, with his name on them, beat police officers with their flagpoles, just the QAnon shaman. Apparently Trump was a bit embarrassed by the goofier looking ragtag QAnon shaman type people. But, so nobody here was subtle, right? But the investigations into finding all of these people, this is one of the largest investigations, in American history that the FBI is doing, because there were so many different people involved. And this story is real creepy in the Washington Post because they really break down how the FBI used basically every tool in the digital playbook that they had available to them. How America's surveillance networks helped the FBI catch the Capitol mob. Federal documents detailing the attacks at the U.S. Capitol show a mix of FBI techniques, from license plate readers to facial recognition, that helped identify rioters. Digital rights activists say the invasive technology can infringe on our privacy. Agreed. So, do I care this was used against Trumpists? No, not really. Especially since they, you got a bunch of, even if you want to call some of these people who stormed the Capitol regular Trump supporters, they were shoulder to shoulder with neo-Nazis, QAnon kooks, and all other kinds of douchebags. So, no, I'm not going to shed a single tear, but what I can do is warn all of you that this is what the FBI and the authorities have at their fingertips. This is what they will use against you and your little leftist group. You're just trying to organize mutual aid and help the community and maybe do counter demonstrating. They're going to use this stuff against you if they have a reason to. We know law enforcement leans conservative. There's mountains of evidence for that. But so be aware that this is what you got going on, and this is just hilarious. There's a lot of Schadenfreude in this story. So, but this is interesting. Deborah Maimone pulled down her American flag mask for a moment on January 6th and gazed at the unruly mob of supporters of President Donald Trump overrunning the U.S. Capitol. Quote, "Put your mask on," warned her fiancé as the couple stood beneath an unblinking array of surveillance cameras. "I don't want them to see you." It was too late. That scene, recorded in a cell phone video Maimone posted to the social media site Parler, it was a Parler post, helped FBI agents identify the Pittsburgh area couple and pinpoint their location inside the Capitol. FBI agents said in a federal criminal complaint filed before Maimone's arrest last month. Video cameras mounted through the complex also captured the pair from 10 different angles, the complaint says, as they allegedly stormed the halls of Congress, rummaged through a police bag, and made off the protective equipment that Senate officials kept on hand in case of a chemical attack. So, their case is among more than 1,000 pages of arrest records, FBI affidavits, and search warrants reviewed by the Washington Post, detailing one of the biggest criminal investigations in American history. More than 300 suspects have been charged in the melee that shook the nation's capital and left 5 people dead. The federal documents provide a rare view of the ways investigators exploit the digital fingerprints nearly everyone leaves behind in an era of pervasive surveillance and constant online connection. They illustrate the power law enforcement now has to hunt down suspects by studying the contours of faces, the movements of vehicles, and even conversations with friends and spouses. So here's Maimone. I mean, it's interesting. You had a lot of maskless Trump supporters because they're not about the masks all the time. But her fiance knew quite well. Keep your mask on. This is to protect your identity, and that's also the thing they always level at Antifa, right? They got to wear masks to protect. Blah blah blah. We are in a pandemic. They should have been wearing their masks anyways. Civil liberty groups are warning that some of these technologies threaten Americans' privacy rights. They absolutely do. More than a dozen U.S. cities have banned local police or government officials from using facial recognition technology, and license plate readers have sparked lawsuits arguing it's unconstitutional. Quick anecdote. I have a buddy of mine who, longtime friend, who very much is like enamored by the tech bro, people. Elon Musk. He's got kind of a nerd boner for Elon Musk, and it's just cool what he's doing. And we got in an argument once about Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a Silicon Valley bajillionaire and very powerful. And Peter Thiel destroyed the web. The online, very tabloidy, but also did really good investigative work, Gawker. If you guys remember Gawker back in the day. Peter Thiel bankrolled the lawsuit, the Hulk Hogan sex tape, I think it was. Very weird whole situation. But Peter Thiel bankrolled that lawsuit and got Gawker destroyed because they outed him as gay. But Peter Thiel owns a company called Palantir, which is one of the leading digital surveillance facial recognition software creating companies. And this friend of mine, we're both Lord of the Rings nerds. Val, you know who I'm talking about. And he thought this is cool what Peter Thiel's doing, man. He named it Palantir. Does anybody remember what the Palantir is in Lord of the Rings? The Palantir is that stone, remember, Pippin picks it up in Two Towers and he sees the Eye of Sauron, and then he's catatonic, Gandalf, help me, right? The Palantir was a seeing stone that the kings of Gondor used to communicate with each other across wide swaths of land. Sauron got a hold of them, and through it, not only is he able to surveil and keep his eyes over Middle-earth, but he's also able to manipulate characters like Denethor, the maddened steward of Gondor, who was twisted and turned by Sauron, but so was Saruman, played by Christopher Lee, right? So the Palantir is evil. It can be manipulated for evil purposes. Peter Thiel names his facial recognition software company after Palantir. Pretty gross stuff. H-word is a nerd. H-word, I'm going to call you nerd word, man. H-nerd. Palantir, like the artifacts made by Feanor. Oh, yeah, buddy. We got another Lord of the Rings nerd in the house. Hell yeah. Glad you're with us. So, so that's just a quick aside. And my friend was naively I think it's cool. It's for national security and stuff. Nah, bro. They're turning that stuff on us. We all have That's what all these selfies are all about. We've all plugged our faces into the internet, and they're there. J. Andrew World mentions Palantir works for ICE. Absolutely. So we're living in incredibly dystopian times. Incredibly gross, creepy surveillance state with state-of-the-art artificial intelligence technology. This is creepy stuff, people. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Jesus. Creepy stuff. This guy, Evan Greer, director of the digital rights advocacy group Fight for the Future, has a prescient quote. Whenever you see this technology used on someone you don't like, remember, it's also being used on a social movement you support. Once in a while, this technology gets used on really bad people doing really bad stuff. But the rest of the time, it's being used on all of us in ways that are profoundly chilling for freedom of expression. Absolutely true. Insert Michael Brooks Peter Thiel impersonation. I can't remember his Peter Thiel impersonation. Evil Yoda. China uses facial recognition cameras everywhere for their social merit points. Republicans dream of doing it here. Yeah, that's what gets me weird about. I mean, who knows? Maybe Republicans hate China because they're better at authoritarianism. But H-word, doesn't the UK have cameras on every intersection? Yeah, I mean there's a lot of that. I mean, we have stoplight cams here in Santa Maria. I mean, they're all over. So yeah, let's go through some of the way that they were used. Like, look at this. The cache of federal documents lays out a sprawling mix of FBI techniques. License plate readers that captured suspect cars on the way to Washington. Cell tower location records that chronicled their movements through the Capitol complex. So, I mean, the FBI subpoenaed all this stuff. But they were literally able to, like, track people step by step through the Capitol, lined it up with the surveillance footage. Yeah, that's the guy. That's your phone. Yeah, your face is covered and all this stuff, and you claim you weren't there. But that's, your phone signal in those spots of that person who's your height and weight and all this stuff. Facial recognition searches that matched images to suspects' driver's licenses or social media profiles. And a remarkably deep catalog of video from surveillance systems, live streams. I mean, you got to admit, a lot of self-incrimination there. News reports and cameras worn by the police who stormed the Capitol that day. This reminds me of a story I did years ago that I actually did win an award for, which was pretty cool. I won an Enterprise Reporting Award for it. The headline that I liked was, I think that we had on the paper, was called it was selfie incrimination. But if you guys are ever interested, you can see some of my old work at santamariasun.com. But I did this story, and I did win an award for it. Enterprise reporting. Enterprise reporting just means when you find a story that isn't like common or it isn't something somebody would easily think of. It's not part of a regular beat. And it was called Guys, the one problem with the Santa Maria Sun website, does it look like it's from early 2000s? It's because it is. They have not updated it. But sleuthing in the cyber age was the online headline. But the other one that they had on the cover of the paper was selfie incrimination. And for some reason, there's no pictures with this from a long time ago. But basically, I did reporting on all like these local people. This was in 2014 that got caught in their crimes they committed, and somehow social media was involved. And very interesting. One guy stole a cake from our famous Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo, and the owner put the video of him doing it on Facebook, and within a day or two, the next morning, somebody was like, "I know him," tattletaling on him. "I know him. He's here in Morro Bay." It was a whole thing. Let's see. Okay, Andy. You explained the impression. I don't know if I'm comfortable resurrecting that impression. But let's see. Let's go back to the story here. I mean, this is insane, guys. Agents in nearly all the FBI's 56 field offices have been mobilized to execute at least 900 search warrants in all 50 states. I mean, give it up to Trump. I mean, he had support all over the country. Every state, people came to fucking join the throng and try to overthrow the election. Crazy. But let's see. I mean, the facial recognition is crazy, but I mean, a lot of this is self-incrimination. Federal documents cite evidence gleaned from virtually every major social media service. Parler is mentioned in more than 20 cases, Twitter in more than 60, and Facebook in more than 125. Man, Facebook really is the home of the right wing. They claim persecution on there all the time. But it's not. It's just not true. Facebook is their home. On Snapchat, a woman posted videos, quote, bragging about the attack, according to one criminal complaint. And another, a man was said to have posted video to TikTok of himself fighting with National Guards and getting pepper sprayed. In at least 17 cases, the federal documents cite records from telecommunications giants AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, typically after serving search warrants for a range of subscriber data. Very interesting stuff, guys. I mean, Let's see. Jose has a comment. The Santa Maria Sun did a great job recently reporting on the poor behavior of the Santa Maria Bonita School District and their failure to negotiate in good faith with local teachers. I read that. That was good work. H word persecution. Shapiro gets insane viewers every Facebook live stream. Exactly. I mean, he's one of the most viewed people on Facebook. Let's see. There's a few things in here that were really, really like interesting, but also crazy. Let's see here. Oh my God, this is like one guy on Facebook. When Miller was asked on Facebook the day after the riots whether he and his wife Stephanie had gotten into trouble, he had written back, "Not yet anyway, LOL." Criminal complaint shows. Data from a Google search warrant allowed FBI agents to map the exact locations of people's phones that day, from the point where rioters smashed into the Senate chamber to the Speaker's office in the heart of the Capitol. So they did search warrants on cellular data. License plate readers and facial recognition software together played a documented role in helping identify suspects in nearly a dozen cases. Guys, this is like more and more what police agencies are relying on. Oh, the FBI didn't want to comment for the story. Big surprise, huh? Oh, geez. And that's the other thing. Many cases also hinge on imperfect technology and fallible digital evidence that can undermine prosecutors' claims. Blurry license plate reader images and price location tracking systems, misunderstood social media posts, and misidentified facial recognition matches all could muddy an investigation or falsely implicate an innocent person. Another really creepy thing is predictive policing, where literally they use AI to predict where crimes are most likely to be committed in the future, which it's all being input from an already systemically racist policing system, punitive policing system we have in America that over patrols communities of color. It is proven, with studies that they are pulling over people of color more often than they are, white motorists, because the bias goes away at nighttime when they can't see the driver's races. Just crazy stuff. Yes, Jose, it is like Minority Report. Antonio, precogs without the accuracy? Absolutely. And I think it was the LA Times or somebody else did a big dive into the LAPD's use of it. LAPD is one of the largest police agencies in the country. And there are like a few officers in the LAPD who just think it's so great and like it's the future and all this stuff. And then there are just kind of the old, like the old school guys who are like, this is woo woo. This is like, are we going to use crystals next? Like this is nonsense. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. Ken, it's like Minority Report. They're literally trying to say we know where crimes are going to happen and the times are going to be just by running numbers. Keep in mind, on a policing system that very much overly surveils impoverished communities and people of color. It's not just people of color. I like to watch a lot of true crime. That's one of my guilty pleasures is true crime. And go look at Netflix has a series called Uninnocent Man or The Innocent Man that's all about several cases. John Grisham wrote a book about it. It's his only non-fiction book, John Grisham, the fiction writer, about a series of murder cases in Oklahoma where they pinned it on the wrong people who were later exonerated by DNA evidence. And these people were just these guys, they were white guys, were just targeted because they were lower class, because they were poor, and it's this very upper crust law enforcement community. It's one of the like stable jobs. You're on the government dollar out there, and they were. It was just assumed. Oh, they did it because, and we all know why. Because they're they're lower class. They're those people. Of course, they did it. It's that kind of thing. Ryan, you're watching me both on YouTube and and Facebook. You're really juicing the algorithms for me, buddy. Thank you very much. Jose Rodriguez, these people are now begging for mercy from judges and blaming Trump for encouraging them to storm the Capitol. Yeah, pretty hilarious. Antonio, one thing that always bugs me is the narrative of the rioters as some huge threat when the police didn't treat them as anything but a bunch of lost tourists. Not all the police, man. I mean, I get your point. There were police who were like, come on in, let's do it. And they were taking selfies with them. But there were, Sicknick, got maced with like chemical spray, not even bear mace, but like chemical mace that the guy died. There was the guy that was crushed in the door screaming out. Evil Yoda, yeah, that's effed. Let's see. Antonio, the precogs are just Stephen Miller, Steve Scalise, and Steve Baldwin being racist Steves in a bathtub yelling the names of minorities. That's really good, Antonio. That is some creative shit. I love it. Antonio, you're the same Antonio I've seen around in This Is Revolution and maybe Ben Burgess' stream. If that's the case, thank you for being here. If not, thank you for being here as well. But I thought I recognized you. Sounds like the documentary After Innocence. Can't remember. I thought it was an innocent man or something like that. J. Andrew World is working on a comic about ICE and immigration. Check out the interview we did, and you'll learn more about that. He also has a homeless Jimmy Dore comic. Oh no! If you know a publisher who might be interested, let me know. Yeah, let J. Andrew World know. Let's see. Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate it. If you haven't subbed, please sub now. Like the stream. But somebody mentioned, the blame game that's going around with these Trump supporters. They tried to hide. I mean, you can run, but you can't hide. Let's see. Many of the Trump supporters who marauded through the Capitol that day showed little interest in concealing their presence, posting selfies, gloating on Twitter, and sharing video of chaotic violence in ransacked hallways. James Bonnet of upstate New York uploaded a Facebook video of himself inside the Capitol halls, allegedly smoking a joint. Allegedly. That's not the worst thing you could do in the Capitol. Donna Bissey, an Indiana follower of the extremist ideology QAnon, posted a location tag photo of herself and her friends to a publicly available Facebook page. Quote, "Picking glass out of my purse," she wrote, according to the charging document. "Best effing day ever! Facebook, hey!" Oh my gosh. Wonder how many people responded with a little shocked face. Whoa! So others, however, attempted to hide their identities and throw off investigations afterward, according to the FBI claims. Suspects covered their faces, switched hats during the day, and threatened family members and witnesses to keep quiet afterward. One dude threatened his own son, and the son turned him in. I don't know how I feel about kids snitching on their parents, but like the guy said before, everybody feels one way when it's their political enemies doing this. People deleted social media accounts, hid out in hotels, or ditched potentially incriminating phones, according to the document. One suspect stopped using a car he feared might be on authorities' radar, while another said he fried his electronics in the microwave. This is just nuts. I mean, guys had some had their photos of their license plate taken crossing the Hudson Bridge. And then the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel Thruway, George Washington Bridge. This guy. This is insane. A photo that morning from a stretch of Interstate 95 northeast of Baltimore showed a comically oversized "Make America Great Again" hat on Vogel's dashboard. Agents said in the complaint that they later matched it to a Facebook selfie in which he appeared. So, guys, keep in mind, that's the thing about, I want you to be safe in your best digital self. Personally, I don't think many of you are going to go try to overthrow the American government in the name of a reactionary white supremacist reality TV buffoon, right? I don't think I need to worry about you guys doing that. But keep in mind that this is part of our reality now is digital media, social media, digital tools being used against us. It's the panopticon, right? Where all these cameras facing in on us. But I mean, this is the thing about 2020 is, hey, we face the cameras on ourselves. But you don't need the nobody's putting a microchip in a vaccine to track you. You bought the microchip. You put it in your pocket. They took it with themselves into the Capitol to track every movement of theirs. Evil Yoda, never post your real picture online. That's pretty bright, Evil Yoda. you could see with your avatar, I don't think that's what you look like. So it's pretty smart. Obviously, I have a public profile. I put my face up here. I'm here on YouTube talking. It's all over for me. But I'm not really. I don't have any criminal record. I haven't done anything that.